The Bernie Sanders campaign may be the target of recent horse race attacks, but they must be happy about a new CNN SRRS Democratic preference poll that puts the Vermont senator in the lead. The national poll has Sanders at 27%, a 7-point jump in their poll. Former Vice President Joe Biden follows closely at 24%. Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg, they're lagging far behind. We're going to keep an eye on this Bernie Sanders surge. But today on our show, Hillary Clinton dissed Bernie in a new interview, and progressive activists are calling for unity. We have an Executive Director of Justice Democrats, Alexandra Rojas, joining us. She's going to talk about this and more 2020. Also, an update on what went down in Davos. Hint, Greta Thunberg is not impressed on climate action. And the latest in the Senate impeachment trial. Catch it all here. I'm Jamal Simmons. Here's why you should care. Hillary Clinton told The Hollywood Reporter that nobody likes Bernie Sanders and wouldn't confirm whether or not she would support the presidential hopeful should he become the Democratic nominee against Donald Trump. In response, many called on Hillary to confirm that she would vote blue no matter who, including Progressive Political Action Committee Justice Democrats. We have the Executive Director of the group, Alexandra Rojas, to talk more with us. Alexandra, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So big fight breaks out between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders this week, and you guys don't attack back, but instead, it sounds like you're looking for a way to kind of settle the horses.
Yeah, and I think she did. I mean, what we were calling on Hillary Clinton was to support the Democratic nominee, whoever that is, whether it's Bernie Sanders or another progressive in the race. And so we felt like her attacks were sort of needlessly divisive at a time where we need to be united as a party to come and defeat Donald Trump come 2020, wherever you fall on the spectrum. And we're not shy of criticism for nominees or elected officials and don't think anyone is beholden to what they're running for. But at the end of the day, our eyes are on the prize, and that's to defeat Donald Trump, the billionaire class, and, the corporations that are hijacking our democracy.
So what's funny is for a long time that spotlight was on Bernie Sanders and on people like Tulsi Gabbard and some of the other people that said, like, oh, if Joe Biden or Pete Buttigieg or one of these guys becomes the nominee, will you support the nominee or will you stay out? Now it's kind of like that spotlight swung back around to the centrists.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly right. I, as a Latina and as someone who also is a working person that wants to see transformational policies for my family, but also happen to support Bernie Sanders in 2016, I get asked all the time, are you going to support the Democratic nominee? And my answer is no matter if it's Michael Bloomberg, Joe Biden, or anybody, absolutely. And that's because, again, no politician, no nominee is beholden to whatever they're running for. Ultimately, they have to answer to the American people. And this was a case where we needed to clarify that statement. And so she has.
I was going to say, it sounds like Hillary Clinton has stepped back from this and said she would support the nominee, even though obviously she has some real issues with Bernie Sanders.
That's right.
They got issues. So that's not the only fight, though, that's taking place on this front. We also saw there's a fight in the DCCC among the Congressional Campaign Committee between Cheri Bustos, who's the chair of the committee, and some of the people like the people from the Congressional Progressive Caucus who have been really fighting her on this blacklist they want to do around consultants who work for challengers.
No, I mean, I think, so we saw that, she literally went on, I think, CNN, or I should disclose I'm a commentator at, and was asked, do you think Ocasio-Cortez is good for the Democratic Party, which is a pretty straightforward question that you would ask the DCCC head of the Democratic Party. And she couldn't give a yes or no answer. And I think that speaks to exactly the base of people that Ocasio-Cortez represents, which is young, diverse people that want to enter the Democratic Party, that are energized by these big ideas. And so I think that it can be a mistake. And also, the DCCC dues, I think, was also something that was in the news. And that Ocasio-Cortez, again, has been fundraising for her colleagues in red to blue seats, all the way to deep blue seats like her own, and supporting the party directly by supporting those candidates. And so we're all team players, I think, right now is.
So is Justice Democrats planning on taking on some of these incumbents? That's one of the concerns you hear from people who are in the leadership of the Democratic Party, that there's going to be an internal fight in these primaries instead of being focused on beating Republicans.
I think that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. The reality is part of the reason where we have to defeat the most corrupt president of our time is because we have neglected millions of people in this country, and that's Republicans and Democrats. So we have to, no matter what, uphold our democratic values if they're if they're being, taken advantage of in the Democratic or Republican Party. So we're absolutely going to be challenging incumbents. We're certainly taking the fight to Republicans. But no matter what, again, we're dedicated to strengthening the Democratic Party.
Yesterday at the World Economic Forum, leaders from around the globe focused on the imminent threat of climate change. Meanwhile, President Trump again denied the very existence of global warming.
To embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. They are the heirs of yesterday's foolish fortune tellers, and they want to see us do badly, but we don't let that happen.
Just a day before, 17-year-old climate change activist Greta Thunberg criticized world leaders for their lack of action to curb climate change. Our house is still on fire. Your inaction is fueling the flames by the hour, she said, referencing massive wildfires in Australia. The president dismissed Thunberg as very angry and suggested tremendous hope and joy and optimism and action as a viable alternative to her proposals. Trump did receive some support at the summit for his commitment to join the 1 Trillion Trees Initiative, a program to restore global forests by 2050. But many criticize Trump for what they see as a weak commitment to the environment. Nobel Prize-winning economist Joseph Stiglitz was one of Trump's most outspoken critics at Davos yesterday. Stiglitz wrote and distributed fact sheets that contradict Trump's claims about the strength of the U.S. economy under his leadership. They also rebuke his record on the environment. Now, why you should care? Trump's speech, which repeatedly pushed back on climate activists and denied global warming, wasn't just words. The Trump administration has gone after environmental protections left and right since he's been in office. 95 environmental laws, to be specific, have been rolled back since 2016, and the Environmental Protection Agency has experienced unprecedented cuts. But Trump is running for president, and his 1 Trillion Trees initiative gives him a plank to stand on in the upcoming political fight. "13 hours later, day 1 of the impeachment trial wrapped up. Republicans and Democrats spent Tuesday debating the rules that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell established. Unsurprisingly, his rules were designed to benefit the White House and stifle the Democrats as much as possible. I mean, no administration witness testimonies? Really? Democrats tried to push back. They introduced 11 motions, and Minority Leader Chuck Schumer even forced repeated votes on subpoenas for additional witnesses and documents. Despite their efforts, each of the amendments failed to pass along party line votes. In their case, the House impeachment managers are trying to make the case that President Trump should be convicted because he abused his power when he attempted to solicit Ukraine's help for his re-election bid, and for obstructing Congress by blocking all cooperation for information from the House during the impeachment inquiry. On the other hand, Trump's legal team argues Congress's interpretation of the Constitution in this instance is a, quote, distortion of history. On day 2 of the trial, we can expect House impeachment managers to push Trump's defense team to respond to substance charges against him rather than focusing on the procedural documents, which is what Republicans have zeroed in on in the months leading up to the trial. Why you should care. The Constitution does not give the president the power to do anything he wants, and intent matters. Trump violated the law by withholding funding for Ukraine. The GAO found that. But what would make it impeachable is doing it for personal political benefit. Trump may not get convicted by the Senate, but the evidence demands a hearing. So why is Mitch McConnell so hesitant to give it one? Thanks for watching Hill TV on YouTube. Be sure to click subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we post new videos. And head to thehill.com for all the latest political news.